Hey everybody, here with Stephanie Schafer, our principal here at BCS. How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you hanging in?
Yes, I am
Kinda.
hanging in there. Yes, we are.
With the new normal and new life and all the stuff that's been going on.
Yes, it has been challenging, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think there's not really a choice in that. We all have to just do it. So we're spending some time with some different staff members here at the church and just talking about some different things that may be applicable to you and some of the things you're feeling, some of the things you're going through, some of the new normal, so to speak, with life and how we're adjusting. And Stephanie's got a really good handle on education and just some of the things that we're having to deal with in education. So practical for all of our families. And in my family, we've got 3 girls at home that are all trying to figure this out.
Yes.
And they're being educated in different ways. You've got 2 at home that are figuring it out, being educated in different ways as well. And so she's done a great job in leading our school through this and managing our staff, but also trying to manage kids and parents and equip kids and parents to make it through this well. And so we're just going to spend a few minutes talking about education and some things that maybe would be helpful as we're thinking about education in this season. And so hopefully there'll be some helpful things to you. So welcome. We're glad you're with us. And so when you think about education, so this is kind of a new world. So everybody's homeschooled in some way. And so as a parent, because you're parenting, you're not just leading in school, but you're also parenting.
Yes.
So as a parent, what are some things that you found kind of work for you in helping your kids adjust to this new normal?
Sure. So 3 weeks ago, we're all going about our life just normal.
Yeah.
And running around, and my calendar was just packed. And so it's like the world seems like it just stopped.
Yep.
And so that's been different. So I would say a few weeks ago, when we realized that the closing of the school was a very real possibility, just one, being in administration and being the leader of the school, trying to figure those things out, but then also in our home at the same time, trying to figure out what is that going to look like for my 2 children, because I'm not going to be able to be there while they're schooling during the day.
Yeah, which is something I'm sure a lot of parents are facing, and the opposite as well. But
So one of the first things that we did in our home was we let our children create a space for themselves, because we knew that they would be schooling for, a few hours during the day. Mm-hmm. And so my daughter is very creative. And so immediately she's got whiteboards and she's got calendars and, bulletin boards. And
she's picked out her Pinterest classroom.
Pictures of all of her friends. And she's got matching pens for her stationery. And, I asked my son, I'm like, listen, you've got a desk in your room. Like, let's get it set up. And he's like, it's set up. And I looked in there and I was like, it is not set up. So Hallie went in there and said, listen, Hallie, you have to go in there and help him set up his stuff for school. So that was the first thing that we did, just knowing that this was going to need to be something that was special for the kids in a place that they needed to make their own.
We kind of did the same thing. We designated specific areas for each of them. And so far, they've gone to those areas and they seem to enjoy that rhythm, so to speak, of having something they get up for in the morning, and they go to that area and they work on their school. And all 3 of them are being educated in different ways with different schools, but they have some rhythm. So what are some other things that you might have worked on with your kids?
This was a newer thing in our house, but a few days ago we realized that I'm trying to work from my mobile office, right? Like my phone, trying to control my children from the school. And that's really fun, 2 teenagers who are like, I'm doing it, it's fine. So I've been working through that. So I realized that I needed to help them get a schedule, because that would make me feel better. I'm a very scheduled person. And so, my children have lived in my house for a long time, so they know what I expect of them. And so they knew what I would want to see on their schedule, but I let them make their schedule. And so they brought it to me and showed me, when they would be doing schooling. They know that I like them to get outside. So that was on there. And they know I like them to start their day with a quiet time. So that was on there. And then I let them have some freedom in what they wanted to do. So my daughter has learned that she likes baking in this, and so that's on her schedule that she's going to bake every day. So
family benefits.
Yeah, I left that one on there. And so then they have some other things that they like to do. Sometimes my son, he loves baseball, and so he was so excited for the baseball season to start, which obviously didn't happen.
Which is a tough thing to deal with.
Yeah, so we had to talk through that, and I said, you know what, put something on your calendar that shows that you're not giving up, like you're still going to pursue that. So he's got a workout time on there as well.
That's scheduling. I think it just goes to rhythm.
Yes,
because what you just said about your calendar, my calendar's the same way. It went from just stacked, which in some ways is not good for us, to empty, which also in some ways is not good for us. And so having some sense of rhythm, I think even for our kids has been helpful. And I think it's just deciding as a family what that is. I don't know that there's a one size fits all rhythm that fits every family, but it kind of is more about your rhythm as a family. How do you develop that? I think for kids in particular, it just gives them some handles for the day. So it's been good for us to experience that as well. So one of the things you say here, which I think is hard for us to hear right now, but I think you're right. You just said embrace online learning because it's not going away.
It's not. Honestly, when this first happened, I thought, okay, I'm a forward thinker by nature. And so I knew that whatever we did needed to be able to sustain for a period of time. And so going into this, I thought, what can we do that will work for a long period of time or a short period of time, hoping it would be shorter. But I think it's important that we embrace the online learning. Like it's here to stay for a while, as far as we can see. And so we have to maintain a good attitude about that in the process. I think human nature, we fight change. I love change, but this has been a stretch for me, a very big stretch for me. And so you can see everybody's fighting it in their own way. And so in that, it's just making a decision to say, okay, this is the way things are. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it well.
Right. Yeah, I think the season of thinking that a week and this will be, everything will be back to normal, I think that's settling in a little bit. That and even what normal will be in the future. And I think probably what you're suggesting, that online learning could be an even higher part of that in the future, is probably true. I think we're going to see that. So one of the things, Pastor Steve Neal and I were talking yesterday, and we talked a lot about expectations. And I think expectations are something that we all deal with. No matter what it is we're facing, we have expectations about that thing, and the difference between our expectation and reality is called disappointment. And so right now I think there's expectations, and some probably have expectations that would say what the schools or the teachers are asking of me is too high. And then others would have expectations that would say we're not learning enough. And how are we going to make it to next year with the way that we're doing these things? And both are landing in expectations. So how do we handle all of that right now in just this flux?
So I have a couple of thoughts on that. I was thinking through this is not just a Kanawha County thing. This is not just a West Virginia thing. It's the whole nation right now. And so the education system is bigger than one classroom. It's bigger than one teacher. And so I think right now, a lot of us are feeling like, I shouldn't say a lot of us are feeling like, but there are some feelings out there where, people are feeling like this teacher is not providing enough. This teacher is providing too much. This school isn't doing it the way that school is doing it. And so I just want to remind you that, especially BCS, we did things the way we did them because that was what was best for our families. And so every school administrator, every teacher right now is operating based on what they feel is best for their classroom, their students, with the resources that they have and the guidelines they've been given. And so it's important that we don't get stuck on thinking what we're doing with our children right now is not as good as what the neighbor is doing, what someone across the county is doing. We're all doing our best right now as educators, and I think it's important to recognize that. Your teachers are pouring their hearts into what they're doing right now. spread out throughout, the United States, and they are spending hours and days of their time. They're missing out on their own family time for the sake of their students, trying to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest shout outs. I love that when you do shout outs on our Facebook walls. I think those are amazing. One of the biggest shout outs in the whole season here is to teachers. I don't know of another job in our country that has had to adjust more than a teaching job in the last couple weeks. They've had to reinvent the way they do things, how they do things, their whole timeline, everything. And a teacher thrives on structure and system, and that has been ripped away.
Yes.
And so huge props to teachers in our community, teachers around our country, for diving in, loving kids, and seeking to continue to educate, even in an incredibly difficult situation to do so. Just really proud of how they've done that. And so however we can support them and however we can come alongside of them and value them and say thank you, I think it's a great
I think that's what's keeping them going right now, is the encouragement. And so I would encourage you to encourage teachers, any teacher you can find, just encourage them. It's a big deal what they're doing right now. They're professionals, and they were so used to doing things a certain way, and it literally got flipped upside down overnight. I know our teachers spent a solid 3 days learning how to do this, and it was intense and it was hard, but they're doing it, and they're super proud of themselves for doing it.
And they love kids. They're in it because they love kids.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's why they did it. It's out of the love for their students. It's incredible to see. Yeah.
So I love this last one we were talking about here. You said you're talking about joy. I was just having a conversation in the office with a guy that we work with here, and morale was what we called it. But just there's a heaviness to everything. And for our kids, they feel that.
Yes.
And they feel it in our soul, and they feel it in their soul, and they're missing their friends, and they're missing their activities. And you just mentioned baseball season.
Yes.
And for a high school kid, that's really big.
Yep.
That's really big. And so what are some things that you have seen or tried that you found could bring some joy into your house right now?
So I think it's important. I'm a big Pinterest person. I think it's important that during this time, I had to stay off Pinterest. Sometimes I have to stay off social media, because I look at what other families are doing and I think, we should be making kites and flying them. Well, the truth is I have 2 teenagers, and that's not fun for them. They're not going to want to do that. So it's important that you look at your family and you really take some time right now to see the strengths in your children, see the strengths in your spouse, and to capitalize on those. So for us, we like to be outside. So I like to take walks. My husband likes to take walks because I like to take walks.
That's good.
Yeah. So when I say, hey, let's take a family walk, my teenagers look at me like, are you out of your mind? But I'll say to Hallie, hey, why don't you ride your bike? And to Dylan, hey, you can run. Okay, we're in. So you've got to find ways to be creative where you can do things with the whole family. We're not going to play board games. That's just not our thing. But we might watch a movie together, and we might make it really fun by having, popcorn with a surprise in it. Right. So find things that are interesting to your family. Maybe it's one of you pick up a guitar and you guys play music together and spend some time doing that. Don't try to be somebody else's family right now. That's really important. Don't.
And that's where the social media stuff can really, really affect.
Yeah.
Families, kids, your teenagers in particular are dialed into that and the image of what is being presented, and that can create some pressure right now, and can lead different ways that are not very good. So, hey, I appreciate you taking some time today.
Thanks.
So I'm sure we'll do this again. And if you would love to reach out or talk to Stephanie, I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. You can reach her right here on this page or through the school office. But we'd love to help in any way that we can as you navigate just a very difficult season here in our community. So we love you, and we'll talk to you soon.